Daniel West back in the studio. Adam's got it after the fact. We're saying so long from Indianapolis. The Clippers come up short here at Cambridge as the Pacers run away with this one, 129-111. See you in a couple on your Clippers Audio Network.
Clippers lose in Indiana without Kawhi, without Norman Powell by a final score of 129-111. Welcome into your post-game show. Coming up, we will get to second half highlights, your post-game box score, and Clippers talk. If you want to get on early, 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. But let's get back out to Indianapolis with Carlo Jimenez. So, Carlo, you brought up the number early, and it ended up being this. Players outside of James Harden went 4 of 27 from three for the Clippers. Just an extraordinarily bad shooting night outside of James and his 6 makes from three. And unfortunately, without Kawhi, without Norman Powell, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you missed 42 points per game, but more importantly, you missed the gravity of those two guys, their ability to draw defenses. I'm sure a lot of Clippers took shots today from three that they're used to having maybe a half a second or a second more of space, but because there was really only James Harden who could play make for the Clippers on that end, the Clippers just did not have the offense they needed from everybody else. And this isn't a bad three-point shooting team. 36% on the season, 12th in the NBA. This is a tough night to have that because you look at the other side and, Indiana did not shoot the ball particularly well either. at all, especially in the fourth quarter. They went 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. So on a night where you do get a team shooting under 35% from three, you shoot 25% as a group, which is a tough pill to swallow. Overall, though, Adam, I think there's positives in this game. The fact that you only had 10 turnovers as a group for the Clippers, I think that's definitely something you can hang your hat on. I think the fast break points were huge. We mentioned it pregame. Indiana averages 17 a night. They only had 6, but where things went awry is those second chance points. Pacers only 8 offensive rebounds, but that leads to 18 second chance points. And in a game you lose big time by 18, you see where they were able to dominate that part of the game.
Yeah, the Clippers also missing some free throws out there, missing some freebies, and just your margin of error is so slim without Kawhi, without Norman Powell. They almost had to be perfect in this one, and they just could not get some of those good looks to fall for them when they presented themselves. That secondary shooter out there that we needed to see next to James Harden, who did go 6 of 13 from distance. It never really developed, but I will give the team credit for continuing to fight, continuing to make it interesting late in that fourth quarter. I think Nesmith, that three-pointer he hit, probably put this ball game away. He started fast as well for the Indiana Pacers in this one, but the Clippers definitely did not give up, did not give in. I love seeing that part of their identity remaining intact out there, Carlo.
They fought every single second of this ball game. They attacked the offensive glass. They were aggressive. They got back defensively. And Indiana had some great individual stretches. You think Miles Turner's first quarter where he has 9 early. Halliburton goes for 17 there in the third quarter to kind of put them up to that 22-point lead. It never got closer than 15 the rest of the way. So credit Indiana. This is an offense that is potent, that gets going in a hurry. They like to run in transition. And that's what they did today. They got out and they got threes, and they were able to beat the Clippers on the glass as well, dominated the painted area. I mean, this is a Clipper team, Adam, that is top 5 in the NBA, top 3 in the NBA in points allowed per game in the paint. They average allowing about 45 points per game in the paint a night. Indiana has 58. They just dominated the interior in this one, really able to go toe for toe with the Clippers, who finished with 48 points in the paint on the ball game. Like you said, I think the fight from the Clippers is there. Coaches will always tell you when you're missing so much, it is often tough to play defense at an elite level because teams get a boost of energy. They get an extra jolt. Anyone who's ever played basketball knows that when you hit a shot and you skip back on the defensive end, there is a little bit more juice on that defensive stretch. And when you're seeing shots miss time and time and time again, I mean, the Clippers, just outside of James Harden, you mentioned it, just could not make anything in this game. So you can't fault them too much on that side of the ball. You just hope the Clippers, who have won 10 in a row against Detroit, can make it 11 tomorrow.
Yeah, tip off from Detroit tomorrow. No rest for the weary. Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back tomorrow in Detroit. Tip off will be at 4. We'll have your pregame show right back here at 3. Carlo Jimenez, a great call as always. Safe travels. Let's do it again tomorrow, hopefully with the Clippers W.
Let's hope, Adam. Clippers could need one on the road. Second night of a back-to-back against Detroit. Got to have it. We'll see if the Clippers can pull through. First game this season against a Pistons team that's playing a lot better. But you know what, Adam? We get to talk to you tomorrow. I'm excited about that. We get to talk to the fine people of Clippers Radio. Let's go!
Clippers fall in Indianapolis to the Pacers, 129-111. More postgame coming up next right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers lose without Kawhi, without Norman Powell, and it's skies falling from the usuals in the chat. Final score 129-111 in favor of the Pacers in Indianapolis. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we got your phone calls, 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. Doubt the people who are panicking and saying skies falling are going to call in because they just want to lash out and be doomers in the chat. That's how this typically works. Clippers lose a ball game without two of their most important players. It's the front end of a back-to-back. I don't think this was a motivation issue. I think this was a talent disparity issue when the Clippers were taking on a team that was 15-5 their last 20 games coming into this one and have one of the best home records in the league. And the Clippers don't have Kawhi or Norman Powell. And outside of James Harden, everybody else shot 4 of 27 from 3. And it was worse than that because a couple of them came late when the game was already over. James Harden did have 31, 9 of 17 shooting, 6 of 13 from the outside, 11 assists. He played great. Big Zoo had 22, just 6 boards. He was being pulled away from the paint a lot in some of the cross matchups where he was guarding on the perimeter. I think that accounts for some of it. But the Clippers didn't have anybody else step up. They needed somebody to catch fire from the outside. Bojan Bogdanović goes 1 of 8. Derrick Jones Jr., 0 of 5. Chris Dunn, 0 of 5. I mean, what are we talking about here? Those two guys combined to go 0 of 10 from 3. Just brutal. And Bogdanović, 1 of 8. So 3 guys, all who you needed to pick you up a little bit, combined to go 1 of 18 from 3. That's the ball game. I don't think there was a lack of effort out there. I think they were missing some talent. And 3 guys that were going to put up shots because they needed to in this game without Norm and Kawhi Leonard combined to go 1 of 18 from 3. You can add in Norman Powell, make it 4 guys. They go 2 of 22 from 3. We don't need to make long-reaching conclusions about what happened in this ball game, guys. You're not going to win shooting like that. It's going to be very difficult. And to the Clippers' credit, they did fight. They didn't give up. They still played hard. But when you're missing like that, it leads to some long runouts. Even though Indiana only had 6 fast break points total, but you're not able to set your defense as much. The Pacers took advantage of that. And while they were just 12 of 36 from the outside, they had some scoring sprees like Halliburton with those 11 straight in the second half, where he couldn't miss and was getting some friendly bounces from the outside. They've only lost 2 games this season when he scores 20 or more. Tyrese Halliburton finished with 29 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 4 of 8 from distance. It seemed to light him up a little bit as he lit up the Clippers after there was a little bit of chirping going on out there. Halliburton came back, knocked down 2 more 3-pointers. The game might have ended then. I think Nesmith starting hot, finishing hot with a 3-pointer to kind of fizzle out any run the Clippers were trying to make. But just a very, very difficult shooting performance by the Clippers in this one. 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570 is the phone number. We got Clippers talk coming up in just a little bit. More on your final box score next. Clippers lose in Indiana, 129-111. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers lose 129 to 111 in Indiana on the front end of a back-to-back without Kawhi, without Norman Powell, and with Bogey, DJ, Chris Dunn, and Amir Coffey combining to go 2 of 22 from the outside. James Harden couldn't get that help he needed. Clippers overall 10 of 40 from 3, 25 of 33 from the charity stripe. It's not a miserable number, but you can't miss 8 free throws in a game where your margin for error is that slim already because the guys you're missing. The Clippers were very good holding on to the basketball. They only had 11 turnovers. Still led to 16 points, though, for Indiana. And Indiana had 14 turnovers, and the Clippers only made 9 points off those 14 turnovers. And those offensive rebounds killed the Clippers. Carlo Jimenez brought it up early, but 8 offensive rebounds is not a big number. Getting 18 points off those offensive rebounds, those second chance points again and again from the Indiana Pacers, that's a huge number. Those are part of the reasons the Clippers lost this ball game. A lot of it was just poor shooting. Tyrese Halliburton getting hot at the right time. They ended up, the Indiana Pacers, also with 58 points in the paint. That's about 7 more than they typically get per game. Clippers weren't good enough defensively, but I think most of this game, or the majority of this loss, can be going on or laid at the feet of their offensive performance with just a woeful shooting game from multiple guys when somebody had to step up. Clippers didn't get that, so they got a loss instead, 129 to 111 in Indiana to the Pacers. Their next game coming up tomorrow in Detroit, taking on a good, very solid Pistons team now. Tip-off at 4, pregame at 3. Outside of Los Angeles, we're leaving you until then. In LA, we got Clippers talk next. Clippers fall 129 to 111 in Indianapolis to the Pacers without Kawhi, without Norman Powell. They didn't have enough. They lose this one by 18 on the front end of a back-to-back. They are in Detroit tomorrow. I'm Adam Osland. Welcome into Clippers Talk. 866-987-2570. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. We'll get to your phone calls, looking for post-game audio from Coach Lou as well. I just posted this on X. I have been saying it in the post-game show here, but everybody wants to overanalyze this, or some people do, and they want to turn this into something it's not. It's just, where's your heart? Where's your motivation? This team doesn't care. I didn't see a team that laid down at all. I saw a team that had 4 key guys in this game without Kawhi and Norm. Dunn, DJ, Amir, and Bogey go 2 of 22 from 3. That's what I saw. That's not an effort thing. That is a talent disparity thing. That is, I don't know, you're not as good without your best player in Kawhi. A lot of people pregame tried to tell me they're better. There's more flow to the offense without Kawhi. It's like, well, yeah, there's more flow to missing shots. There's more passes that lead to missing shots without Kawhi. You realize he's one of the best ISO players in NBA history. So, yeah, there's going to be some of that. He led the league in points per possession in isolation last season. How many people came in here and told me pregame that, oh, it's a good thing Kawhi isn't playing in this game? That was shocking to me. What wasn't was the result, where you have James Harden, Ivica Zubac, and not much else. Not enough help. Somebody else had to have an out-of-body experience, as Brian Seaman would say, for them to take down a Pacers team that has now won 16 of their last 21 games. They're one of the best home teams in the league. They just beat Memphis at home. They can run you out of the gym. They can play a multitude of different ways on the offensive end. And people are talking about there's a lack of effort out there. Is Coach Lou motivating them? I just don't know what you're watching. That team didn't quit. They got it down to 13 or 15 points in the fourth quarter. They kept playing. They tried how many different lineups? Early in the third quarter, they tried to go small. Then they went back to Ivica Zubac. They tried to go small again around the 8-minute mark of the fourth. They tried everything. Guys couldn't hit shots. And you're not going to get as many open shots, even though they got some, but you're not going to get nearly as many open shots without Kawhi, without Norman Powell, and the gravity of those guys. That's how it works. So for everybody complaining about Kawhi Leonard in the offense lately, when they have an offensive rating coming into this game of 117 when he's on the floor, and like 109 when he's off the floor. They're infinitely better there. They're better defensively with him on the floor too. All the numbers say it. Like, I'm sorry your eye test isn't very good. Maybe get some Windex on the goggles, whatever you're using to measure how good a team is offensively with Kawhi versus without Kawhi. I'm glad we have the numbers and the team actually goes off of stuff like that, not just, well, Kawhi tries to ISO too much. Like, yeah, he's one of the best ever. And for as much as he has struggled so far in his 16 games back, for how inefficient he's been, according to some, he still is shooting 46% from the field and 38% from 3. While having the minutes increase, while going into ISO mode. To act like this team is better without Kawhi is nuts. And I've been hearing too much of that lately, including pregame by some of you that are in the chat now. It's wild to me. You see a game like this where, I think the Clippers win this ball game with Kawhi. or Norm or both. They could have won still if guys just didn't have, as Brian Seaman would say, if they just weren't miserable from three and just bad from three, they might have won the game. 2 of 22 from Amir, Dunn, DJ, and Bogey. I'm worried about a game like this from Bogdanovich. I hope he got it out of his system because I've been saying he's going to turn things around with his shooting from three as a Clipper. And then in a game where they really needed him to get it going, he's 1 of 8 from three. I said I would have started him. I understand the move of not doing that. They started James Harden, Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, Derek Jones Jr., and Ivica Zubac. I asked Law about it pregame. I said, is it crazy to want to start Bogey in this game to add some firepower when there's so much missing right now without Norm, without Kawhi to the starting lineup? He said, and this is a fair thought process to have from the coaching staff, you want to try to have more continuity with bench lineups and keep Bogey next to Ben Simmons. They had played well together, I suppose, or they at least had played a lot of minutes together. I don't know if the plus minus have been very good so far, but I get it. You're trying to bring consistency to lineups and rotations, but I'm starting Bogdanovich in a game without Norm, in a game without Kawhi in the starting lineup. Is that why they lost the game? No, because maybe he shoots the same. Or maybe he feels like he has more confidence and more of a green light because he's needed, and that's why he's been inserted into the starting lineup. He went 4 of 13 overall, 1 of 8 from three. 11 points. I just didn't see a path to really winning this game without Bogey getting it going. And from my perspective, I'd put him in the starting lineup. I'd put him in over Amir or DJ. Probably Amir. So, yeah, I don't always agree with Coach Lou. That's okay. He's getting paid the big bucks for a reason. I'm a complete casual compared to him. That's what I would have gone with. Is that why they lost the game? I don't know. Bogey, he had plenty of opportunities and he didn't shoot it well. You can make the argument, well, there's less pressure on him coming off the bench, so that could help him actually. There's different ways to look at it. But they did lose the game because they couldn't shoot the ball well. And in a situation like this, they had to have somebody else shoot it well from the outside, and they couldn't get it. It's James Harden getting you 31 points on 17 shots. He has an uber efficient night, 6 of 13 from three, 11 assists. It's Ivica Zubac having 22. Only 6 boards, but I think a lot of that is because he was guarding the Pacers on the perimeter a lot. He got caught in cross matchups. Halliburton caught him a couple of times where he had to defend him from three, and they were well defended threes, and it didn't matter. When Hallie went on that run, when was that? Near the end of the third quarter, he had 11 straight points. He put him up 90-69. He got a friendly bounce. He got into it with the Clippers. It seemed to fire him up more. It was talking some trash after a layup. I thought the Clippers tried a lot of different combinations. I commend Coach Lou on that. They tried just about everything. And guys were just ice cold. Guys that aren't this bad from three. Not close to it. Dunn and DJ going 0 of 10 from three is just brutal in a game like this. So the Clippers didn't get, well, they got an outlier shooting performance, I would say. Not in a positive way, though. Not somebody catching fire who was playing above their heads, a role player that has a big night, which is what they needed. Instead, it went the other way. Role players who stepped down instead of stepping up. And I'm not saying the effort wasn't there. It was. Guys were playing hard. They're just missing shots. They couldn't find it. It's frustrating. I get it. It's also completely understandable that you'd lose a game like this in Indiana with shooting like that without Kawhi, Norm Powell. While we have a moment, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification here on AM 570 LA Sports.
This is LA Clippers basketball. AM 570 KLAC Los Angeles, 98.7 KYSR HD2 Los Angeles, an iHeart radio station.
Clippers fall 129 to 111 to the Indiana Pacers when they had and were at a huge talent disparity. And the guys who you needed to get going to have a hot shooting night went the other way. Ice cold. So Andre 3000 would say, ice cold. It was rough. I don't fault the effort. They played hard. They just didn't have enough. Hopefully, Kawhi, Norm, both or at least one of those guys is available tomorrow. And hopefully, James Harden, who was playing late into that game and hit a three-pointer, was crept under by Neesmith and rolled his right ankle and grabbed at it for a second. Hopefully, he's okay and can still go tomorrow. He played 35 minutes. We'll get to your phone calls when we come back. 866-987-2570. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to Clippers Talk on here on AM 570 LA Sports. Clippers lose 129 to 111 in Indiana to the Pacers. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Talk. 866-987-2570 is the phone number. Let's start things off with Jose. Jose in Downey. You're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. What's up, Jose?
What's up, Adam? What up, Adam? You know what? On the effort thing, they didn't give up, but I mean, the disparity, what was it, like 15, 16 rebounds in total? And then just...
Yeah, but you understand when one team is missing way more shots than the other, that gives them way more rebounds to be had. So that's not always indicative of anything. That's missed shots.
I was hopeful on the offensive side we'd have a higher number on offensive rebounds too, because we were missing now. Just, we're getting ready for that ball.
That part of it's fair.
The other thing is too, I mean, the comment that you were talking about, the continuity, it's already in the second half of the season, and how long are they going to restrict Kawhi? Because the continuity is going to be important there too.
Well, it wasn't a restriction today. I'm sorry, but that's not even what happened. He has a sore left foot. The play happened against Milwaukee, where he noticeably got up gimpy after a transition play in the third quarter, and he was grimacing in pain.
And the other thing is,
wait.
Oh.
Are we going to acknowledge that? That's not a restriction.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know that the foot thing was real.
Okay.
I knew the knee thing for Powell was, because I think what was it, like 2 games ago when he got hit right in the sideline, I saw him gimpy. Like, I was like, all right, I can see the Powell thing, I just didn't know that's what happened to Kawhi.
I mean, there's video of the Kawhi thing from Thursday. I played it at Clippers Talk on the YouTube side to show everybody that play. I mean, that happened.
I see. I didn't know that. So now at least I know that
you're talking about the minutes restriction, Jose, in general.
No, well, just playing more games. I wish they would be.
I don't
more
think
together,
he's playing a back-to-back ever again. Why on earth would you let a guy who hasn't played 4 straight years, hasn't been able to finish a playoff series, play back-to-backs? How does that seem wise? Don't you want him to have the best chance to play and finish a playoff series? That's what I want.
Yeah, that's true. I just think the whole in and out for everybody, just everybody, because I know we've had other players that have missed out, and I think it kind of hurts us overall. The other thing, I think something we've harped on a lot this season, yourself and even last year, when they're struggling with the shooting, like, give the ball to Zoo, calm everybody down, give it to him, and especially against a team who's not that big. I don't think he had as many touches as he could have had.
I agree with you. There's a point in the second quarter, I think it was the second quarter, where I lost my mind a little bit. Yeah, Ivica Zubac hits that right-handed hook shot over a triple team. He had just scored multiple baskets, including bodying Thomas Bryant. And the next 6 shots from the Clippers are all 3-pointers in the second quarter. The next 6, they made 2 of them. So they got a point per possession there. It's not great. And Ivica Zubac went from looking to be gaining a real rhythm there and looking to be unstoppable. He had 8 points in the second and just made a hook shot over 3 guys and just went through Thomas Bryant for another one. And they go away from him 6 straight possessions. That is brutal.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it wasn't just this game. I think where my frustration is coming from is just some of these losses that have amounted. It's like, I don't think they're losing to, like, these great teams. I understand Giannis played in the last game, but, I mean, they're not that good right now. And I would think we have to close out those games. The other game against Indiana that we lost when we were up 22, even that game against the Lakers, like, they weren't that good. The Lakers were not that good. It's just, it's alarming, the big losses that I guess they had against what I consider, I think, pretty mediocre teams,
Well, I wouldn't call Milwaukee mediocre. They're 31-24. Indiana's 32-23. The Lakers have had the best defense in the league since like January 10th now. I respectfully disagree. However, I agree with your sentiment of you got to win a game where you're up by 13 late against Milwaukee in the fourth quarter, Jose. You got to win a game where you're up by 22 against Indiana, and that has been a disturbing trend. We're 7 times already this season with 26 games left. The Clippers have let go of the rope a little bit, or they've let go of a lead where they have been up 7 times this season by 10-plus points, and they have lost those games. And last season, they only had that occur 7 times. So they got 26 games left to go. And you can say that, they've lost a lot of games they should have won. I think that's fair to say. There's something else that is interesting, to put it kindly, that is a little bit worrisome. The Clippers have been down double digits in every game in February, including this one, obviously. That cannot continue. I appreciate the phone call, though, Jose. Let's go to Kyle in Brooklyn. Kyle, what's up? You're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland.
Adam, sir, you took the words right out of my mouth on the Zoo thing. That was one of the main reasons I called in. That second quarter that you brought up was infuriating. Just like, I think it was four shots in a row. Or no, I think it was 3. I think it was 1 of 1 before that. 3 shots in a row. And then they come down, and he's setting high picks for three-pointers. I didn't understand it. It was killing me. But this whole faction where the sky is falling, like, everybody relax. Like, calm down. It's post-trade deadline. The two guys that we need to dig ourselves out from a 16-point hole aren't in the game. All right? That's just the fact of the matter. It's nothing to freak out about. We're trying to figure out if Bogdan can be that scoring force that we want him to be, so Dunn doesn't have to shoot 5 times. No one wants Dunn shooting 5 3-pointers.
That's a great point, Kyle. Like, he felt. I mean, obviously, when the defense is playing off of him, when nobody else is hitting, when it feels like, hey, I got to take these shots because nobody else is knocking him down right now. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, if Bogdan's not hitting, Bogdan's in there for a reason. We want him to be that guy. He's not being that guy. We can't get mad at Dunn for shooting. None of them were hitting anything. The only thing that got to me was the Zoo situation in the second, which you already brought up. That was the thing that really dug in me a little bit. The other stuff that was interesting to me, I called him last week. I'm very interested in this. Like I said, we're post-trade deadline. We're figuring things out. Like, I'm finding littler things to focus on. So I've been focusing on Simmons, who's been very interesting to me. He's been so good. And this was the first night where I was like, okay, I'm seeing some of his head get into it. And it's interesting watching a player who is so fluid and natural when you watch him play. And then all of a sudden, he's passing the ball literally 1.5 feet to a player right next to him at the 3-point line, or he's passing up. He becomes differential, you know?
Who are you talking about here again?
Simmons.
Well, he's not going to take a 3, so he's going to have to be differential. He can't. He's not a shooter.
No. I mean, I'm fascinated by him because he's just a natural, and the fact that it does seem like whatever his issues in the league have been, they've been mental, which he's openly said.
I think that's a big part of it. I agree with you.
It is. And the way Doc Rivers handled it is the reason I'm glad we got rid of him.
Yeah.
It's like, if a player comes to you and says, I don't want to play basketball, and he's been playing basketball his whole life, something's wrong. It's not like, oh, he's just being a bad teammate. No, dude, something's wrong with that person.
Yeah, he definitely, his criticism after the Game 7 situation against Atlanta compounded the issue there in Philadelphia. It made it worse.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued by him because I think we have a great organization that can bring the best out of these people. I called last week to talk about Simmons because he's just fun for me to watch now.
No, Kyle, did you see that play, I think, in the third quarter where Simmons was out there next to Ivica Zubac after Zoo came back in? They took him out early in the third quarter. He comes back in. They tried to go small. Then I think they took out Amir Coffey, who picked up his 4th foul or something. He comes back in. Ben Simmons had a play where they're playing off of him. He's topside above the 3-point arc. And instead of being baited into taking that shot or just passing it right then, he goes from 0 to 100 straight down the lane and threw a beautiful pass to Ivica Zubac for an easy one. Like, he created a ridiculously easy opportunity for Big Zoo out of nothing. That was great to see. That's what it has to be if those two are going to be on the floor together.
But that's what I'm talking about. When you see him play at such a naturally high level that we know he was and he has in him. The first 2 games, all I saw was him playing off instinct. It was fantastic. It was really, really great. Today, there were just a few moments where I was like, okay, there it is. I hope our staff can figure that out. There was a moment when he was coming down, I think it was 3-on-3, and I don't remember when it was in the game, but I know he has the athleticism and the talent to he was coming across the lane. He's probably 4 feet away. He could have easily gone up with a left hand and laid the ball up, and he deferred. And there's been a couple times like that. There was another time at the top of the 3-point on the left side where he deferred to Bogman, who was a 1.5 2 feet away from him. That doesn't help anything. It's like, make a move. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were a few moments where he felt uncomfortable. I hope we have the staff that's going to get to the 80%, 90% of him I'm seeing over the last 3 games. It's like, that is a hell of an athlete and a great basketball player.
Yeah, Kyle, I appreciate it. Hell of a phone call. I agree with you. There's a ton of upside to Ben Simmons that can be unlocked if they can get some of those habits to change. We'll take a quick timeout. Clippers lose 129-111 in Indiana to the Pacers. We'll come back. We'll get back to your phone calls. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. Clippers lose by 18 without Kawhi and Norm in Indiana to the Pacers. Just saw this from La Murray post-game. Said Coach Lue didn't express any concern about that fourth quarter collision with James Harden. Looked like he was grabbing at his right ankle. That's good. He did talk about pace many times, that the Clippers had trouble with that. And this is great to see. La Murray said, while Ben Simmons will not play tomorrow, the door is open at some point to play on 0 days rest at some point this season. Clippers have 5 more back-to-backs after tomorrow's game, but La Murray was told that the door is open to Ben Simmons eventually playing back-to-backs. I'm Adam Osland. Welcome back in. Clippers lose 129-111 in Indiana to the Pacers. Ryan in Burbank. Ryan, I got about 30 seconds here. I'm sorry, my friend, but we got a ton of time.
No, you're good. You're good, Adam. I think you hit a lot of this on the head, man. It's just wide open shots getting bricked. I mean, you talk about Derrick Jones Jr., Dunn, Bogey. I mean, all these guys had wide open opportunities. It wasn't like contested. And that the only thing that I'm happy about is that, and like the last caller said about the trade deadline, Simmons is creating open offense on the bench for these players. And I think that's the biggest thing moving forward. When that offensive lineup of Kawhi, Harden, Zoo, Powell, and Derrick Jones Jr. has been playing one of the best ratings in the NBA, we need this team to be healthy come playoff time. Be healthy, be a top 6 seed.
Yeah, the Clippers starting lineup, I appreciate the phone call. I like it, Ryan. The Clippers starting lineup with James, with Norm, with DJ, Kawhi, and Ivica Zubats as the best net rating of a 5-man unit in the NBA over 150 minutes. They've been really good. And Kawhi is not even back to all NBA form. They don't have him in this game. Kind of changes everything. I don't know what some people were thinking, talking about, oh, they'll be better without Kawhi, or my eye test says, the flow's just much better offensively without him. Cool. They're not scoring more points per 100 possessions without Kawhi. That's what matters at the end. Demetrius in Manhattan Beach. What's up? You're on Clippers Talk.
Man, Adam, good talking to you. It's like I'm hearing all the callers and everything. It's like beating a dead horse. I agree with you. It's a bizarre. Whoever made that bizarre, weird question about the team is better without Kawhi. I think they need to rethink some things and not even actually calling the radio station to waste your time and the listeners' time. I mean, you got to have the eye test and know that you're talking about one of the greatest elite players this league has ever seen, and you want to have him for the playoffs. Like me and you, Adam, and certain people, we're not worried about Kawhi. We need him healthy. We know what he's going to bring during the playoffs. We need the rest of the board. And then Zubac, we know what he's going to bring. We know what Powell is going to bring. So we need a total effort. We got enough, like you said. Our starting five is, to me, I love our starting five. I'll put our starting five up against anyone in the league. I think the rotation coming off the bench with Simmons, I think acclimating him in, he's looking pretty good. I mean, what can you expect? I mean, the guy is he's feeling a little bit more happier now, and he's playing the way he plays, and so that's just where we at now. But look, we got Jeff Van Gundy, we got Ty Lue. I mean, we got everything we need, Adam, here. I don't want to hear the excuses from.
Well, they need good health, Demetrius, as always. And I appreciate the phone call, my friend. I'm up against it. We got to take a time out here because we're getting out of the bottom of the hour. But what they need more than anything is something completely outside of their control. Good health. Unfortunately, the injury gods have not been on their side over the last 5-6 years, maybe since their existence with this franchise, but specifically with Kawhi Leonard, and today, more specifically with Kawhi and Norman Powell out against Indiana. Clippers fall 129-111. We'll come back. We'll close things out next. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network and AM 570 LA Sports. Clippers lose 129-111 in Indiana to the Pacers. Second most points they've given up since that loss to OKC in November. La Murray, I'll have him on pregame tomorrow, I think. I disagree with him about this. He said this wasn't about threes. The Pacers just ran the Clippers off the floor. I think those things go together. First of all, Pacers had 6 fast break points, and if you're missing a bunch of threes, it leads to long rebounds and a team getting into their offense much more quickly. So I might have him on, if he's willing to come on again pregame tomorrow. We might have to talk about that. But he had an interesting point here about James Harden, a stat for you. This was the first time James Harden lost a game in which he scored 30-plus points since October 2022 with the 76ers. And he also asked James Harden postgame about how practices have gone. James Harden said, practices have gone well, but the Clippers missing Kawhi and Norman Powell, quote, makes it that much more difficult to win a game. What else do you need to know about this one? Hopefully they're back tomorrow, but sometimes it's not that difficult to explain how a game like this happens. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank the Clippers organization, Ralph Lawler, Brian Seaman, Noah Eagle, Carlo Jimenez on the call, Big Brother Jake Warner, our producer here back in the bank, Daniel West. Thank you, Daniel, the callers, the listeners, the chatters. Appreciate all you guys. We'll do it again tomorrow, starting at 3. Clippers in Detroit, taking on the Pistons. I'm Adam Osm. We'll talk to you then.